What's up, guys? MC Stu here, and today we are going to talk about something a little bit different from usual. Um, the other day, I was just sitting and just thinking. I can't remember what I was doing, but I was thinking about the game and YouTube and Star Trek in general, and I was thinking I've played this game longer than any other game on a regular basis. There's some games like, Command and Conquer, things like that I've played for, 20 years. They're always going to be good, but, we're talking years where I don't play it. But to consistently play a game on a, regular basis every day or every other day, but multiple times a week, Star Trek Online has been my go-to for a long time, going on 5 years for me. And I know many of you have played since launch. Almost 12 years. And I started thinking to myself, what is it that draws me to this? Why am I still playing this game, this 12-year-old, game? It's as old as, my oldest kid, at this point. And so I really started thinking about that over the last couple days, and I'm still kind of thinking about why that's the case, but I wanted just to have a conversation with you guys about that, and maybe get some feedback from you as well as to what keeps you drawn into this game. Now, we can start with the easy stuff. It's Star Trek. We're all massive Star Trek fans, Star Trek fans, and that's one thing, right? The overall theme of the game, the ships, all those kinds of things, the content. It has the Star Trek name. It's an MMO. There's lots to do, right? That kind of makes sense. But beyond that, that's not enough to just hold, me in the game. And so I kind of scratched that off the list right away. And I started thinking to myself, kind of on the negative side, well, I mean, with, there are negative things in the game. In terms of the bugs, which, a lot of games have, but this tends to be fairly buggy. The monetization, some of the pay to win aspects of it in terms of if you're wanting to chase the high DPS. There's many things that, you could look at that would be negative, that are not unique to Star Trek Online. I mean, that's pretty standard kind of across the board, I think, for MMOs. I think that the other part of it that I really started thinking about is I haven't played through an episode in a long time. I mean, over a year, there's been multiple content drops, and it's not that the storylines aren't real good, because they are good. They're well produced. Overall, the gameplay's pretty good. Not a huge fan of the ground gameplay, but that kind of added on top of that question, well, why am I still playing it if I'm not even actually playing the campaign and the game itself? Why am I still playing this game? And so I have two accounts. I have a free-to-play account and a main account. I got to tell you, I really enjoy my free-to-play account. I think I take more enjoyment from it, not being able to use any kind of real-life money in it, being able to, do the best I can with, next to nothing. And maybe next to nothing's not the right thing to say, because I've been able to accumulate quite a bit on that account in the 2 years that I've been playing it. But I find a lot of enjoyment from that, trying to, make something out of just using what I have. I can't just go out and buy a ship for a trait, and I have to find something to replace that with. So, there are all these kind of quote unquote, negative aspects or things that, might make one really question, well, why am I still playing this game? And, the more I think about it, there's the community side. I've made friends in the game, people I play with all the time, and, we'll just hang out. People like, Nick MB or Augmented Dictator, and there's many others. And sorry, I don't mention everybody. That's a positive aspect. It's also something, though, that you can find in many other MMOs and in many other games in general. I play warships. I'm a part of a clan. We do, events every week where we're together and doing, similar kinds of things. Although I find that the bond or the camaraderie is a lot stronger around this game, and I think a part of that is Warships is a fun game to play, but it's missing the culture, if you will. And when I say culture, I mean it's missing the Star Trek, right? The Star Trek that is what brought us all into this. So it really kind of brings together somewhat like-minded people that have a core, not just people that like to play an arcade game that's fun, but there's an overall theme. There's things that we like about the game that don't make any sense. There's certain ships that are not good, but I love to fly it because I like how it looks. I like how it reminds me of a particular show or something that happened in a particular show, just the feel of it. So there's that part that kind of brings us all back together, or not back together, but gives us that extra thing in common. So I think community-wise is probably one of the biggest things. In terms of the game mechanics, though, what I've found is that a lot of times when I log in, I am jumping around different characters, and I'm not really playing the story content. What I'm doing is I'm going through my builds, and I'm going through my traits, my bridge officer abilities, what bridge officers I have. And I think that's what really has kept me tied into this, is that the shipbuilding portion of this game, which is really one of the largest parts of it, really, when you start to kind of pull back the layers of the actual content itself, it's really unmatched. I'm not aware of any other game that has the kind of depth and complexity to it that Star Trek Online does. And what that turns it into for me is almost like it's like a puzzle, right? You can play crossword puzzles your entire life because they can be organized different every time with different words. And so it's not a matter of I'm bored of crossword. You really can't get bored of that, right? I mean, you might take a break or get a little bit burned out, but it's different every time, and the combinations are really kind of endless. And this game's really like that. Whether you're a paid player or you're a free-to-play player, there's just an endless amount of resources that you can gather in game, and layers of the game that you can explore and do different combinations with. And so, just for example, and if you've played this game obviously for a while, you're going to be aware of these things. If you're someone new, maybe thinking about getting into the game, I'll just kind of lay out some of the basic stuff. So, on the top level, you have the ship that you're going to use. Then you have the gear that you're going to use. Some of that gear might have set pieces. Some of that gear may stack or proc other gear that's on the ship, and there's a lot of interaction just between the gear that you have and the sets of gear that you have. Next, you have your skill tree, which is going to boost your abilities at a basic level. You have your personal traits, which are going to add procs or abilities, or are going to boost a particular aspect of your build or your gear. You have starship traits. Starship traits are going to be very similar, but they're going to do it in a bigger way. And once you start using those, you're going to find just within the traits, personal space traits, starship traits, they potentially can stack or proc each other, and your gear, and your gears, and your gear clicky can proc your traits and your personal space traits. And then you have your rep traits, which are going to be a similar kind of thing, more passive. Then you're going to have bridge officer abilities that are going to be used, that are boosted by the gear on your ship and are going to be boosted by your personal space traits, or they are going to proc and boost your traits and personal traits. Then you have bridge officer, or the kind of bridge officer that you're using, which they have their own traits that are going to do all those things with all those different layers. Then you have your duty officers, and again, your duty officers are going to have traits and different things that they can either proc or they boost or give you a chance for. And over the past couple years, they added in the Endeavor system, and the Endeavor system is going to add base boosts to all of your different characteristics. And so, and all of those things, there's multiples of them, and they all interact with every different layer of your build and your ship. And then on top of all of that, it's your play style. How do you like to play? How do I want to organize all those kinds of things? And so some days I log into the game and I say, I'm just going to make it up, a ship that focuses on cold damage. And you can do that. You can go out and look for gear and look for traits and look for bridge officers and duty officers, and it's just endless. And then you can tweak that to be better and better and better. And so for me, what I have decided, the reason I keep coming back to this game is because of that complexity. Now, there's many other things, like I said before, just the overall theme. It's Star Trek, the community that surrounds this game, especially on YouTube and in Twitch and a lot of the community Discord servers, and I have to say, for a 12-year-old game, especially for the space side of it, the ships that they're putting out and remastering, whether you like the particular ship design or not, they are beautiful. They have done a very good job. They have really captured the looks of these ships. Even on many of the older ships, the dev team has gone and updated the skins for them. Updated the maps. There's some of the newer ships behind me you can see in the space dock now. They're just amazing looking. And then we get into the Space Barbie side, right? And I like my Space Barbie. I keep it somewhat straightforward. I like it to look cool. But the character editor in this game and what you can do with your character is just unmatched by any other game. I mean, I've seen Buzz Lightyear running around. I've seen little gray aliens. I've seen things I can't even describe. I've seen things that are canon, look perfect for the shows, the movies, anyone that you can think of. I mean, it's just insane, the amount of stuff that you can do to your character and the way that they look. Outfits. I mean, it's just on and on and on and on. And that's even just stock. You go in and there's just a huge amount to pick from. There's a lot of things that you can earn and unlock in the game through the rep system and Phoenix Store and things like that that can further augment that. And I find that to be fun as well. There's other players that's huge. There's a joke that's constantly going around that, Space Barbie is the true end game. And the same thing's true with ships. Many of the ships have, a couple different variants that look different and you can kit bash those. There's vanity shields. So there's the whole Space Barbie side of it that I enjoy. It's not my main draw, but it's something else that is huge for the game that really kind of sets it apart from most other games that are out there. Lastly, the game is a free-to-play game. And I still believe that and stand behind it. There has been some issues with how free-to-play, or let's say how far you can get for free in terms of gear and purchasing things that would normally cost real money. I'm going to make a separate video on this here in the next week or so. But you can download this game and play through every single bit of story content. You can build up pretty decent builds that are going to do great. You are not going to hit level setting top end on a free to play account without a good amount of time going through. I mean, my free to play character can do very well. I've been grinding it fairly hard for just over 2 years and making sure I'm taking advantage of all the different events, and it's getting to a place where it does very, very, very well. So common misconception or, comments that I get a lot when I talk about free to play, and just so we're clear, is that free to play means it didn't cost any real life money. It does not mean that it's free of work, free of grind, or dedication, or any of those kinds of things. You're not going to get into an MMO, be it free, not free, whatever, and go top end or even close to it, the first month. That's just not how they're designed. They're designed to have a progression, even in just building up a particular character. So we just need to make sure that you understand when I say free to play, I mean no real life money. It does not mean that you don't have to put work in. Even if I'm using, tier 6 rep gear, that was free. That didn't cost me a single thing other than my time, having fun playing the game and unlocking those things. And that is still true today as it was when the game went free to play. You can play this entire game from beginning to end. None of the content is behind any kind of paid, gate or anything like that. Yes, most of the ships you're going to want are going to be $30 or $22 on sale in the C store. Those do cost money. There are events that run constantly. You can get up to, I think, about 5 free ships a year plus with these new year-long events that they've had. Some of them will reward coupons for the C store where you could get those $30 ships, but it does take time, and you will have to grind through those events and do those things, but it is obtainable. The days of grinding out dilithium and exchanging them for Zen, I think for now are probably over with some of the issues that are happening there. But again, I'll save that for a later video for the free-to-play aspect of the game specifically. But that is something that I like. My kids have played off and on. They have accounts. My free-to-play, like I said, I haven't spent any money on that game or on that account, and I've had a lot of fun with it, and I haven't had much trouble in being able to put together the things that I want to. And so, what keeps me coming back to this game is the complexity of the build system that's in it. It's just insane. It's like a puzzle that just, never ends. And, there's always something new to try, with the updates or the gear or a slight change in the mechanics. And suddenly, there's all these new different opportunities. When you just look through, the gear, the skill tree, the specializations, I didn't even mention that. You look at all your traits and your personal traits and your rep traits and your rep activatable abilities and your stations, your bridge officers, and all the different things you can do, with this. It's insane. And the nice thing too, what I really like about this game, and I think this kind of rounds it all off, is that there is a top end meta, right, where people are doing, 2 million, and way up their DPS in, the ISA run maps that most things are parsed on. But you can do builds that are going to put you in the top, 5-10% of players, if that's your thing, chasing the deeps, with creative builds that you've come up with yourself. And I always think back to SOTOR that, if you're going to play a Sith sorcerer, there is basically one build for either PvP or one build for PvE, and there's no varying from that. It's the one that works. Star Trek Online is not like that. You can come up with your own stuff that works for you, for your playstyle, and it be very, very effective. And I really believe the sky's the limit on that in terms of what you can do in terms of putting together those excellent builds in any kind of way that you want to. There's certain rules and things that you got to follow, but once you have that basic understanding, putting together unique things that work is doable, and there's just so many of them, and I see them all the time in game and also in the comment section where I'll do a build video and someone will say, well, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I'll look at that and I'm like, I never even thought about that. That would work. And it all doesn't have to be about the high end. That's a fairly small group that does, the super high end, high DPS. I do engage in that myself. I like it. But I also just like to put together, things that I just enjoy doing. And this game provides that, and provides the mechanics and the functionality for you to say, you know what, I want to build a ship that does, sonic damage, which is kind of one of those way out there on the fringe kind of damages. But you can do that. That's available to you. And that's what really keeps me coming back to this game, is the scope and scale of what you can do in terms of your starship builds and how you can use those in game. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that talk. Like I said, it's something a little bit different, but it's just something I'd been thinking about, and I thought I'd just kind of share with you. A lot of that I was just kind of thinking out loud still. Still somewhat of an open question, right? And I'm sure many of you have had those thoughts before. Maybe some of you have decided on your reason why you keep playing. Maybe some of you don't care. Who cares, right? You're having fun coming in. You don't have to decide why you keep playing. It's just I got to that point where that had entered my mind, and I thought about it, and I just thought, we'd have a chat and see what you guys thought. So let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate that. What else do we have to go over? I think that takes care of everything for this week's video. I will have the refit videos coming out over the next couple weeks, and we will also be doing a few videos on what 2022 may have to offer, and some overall reviews of the game itself and some of the specific aspects as well here over the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for that, guys. If you want to get the notifications, hit the sub button, ring the bell. I appreciate it. And until next time, thanks a lot for watching. Stay safe and have a good one.